Greetings, YouTubers. I am Mo, the mime who speaks. I want to wish you all a happy Easter. Today is Easter Sunday. It's the 23rd of March, 2008. I know I haven't been making a lot of videos lately. So, anyhow, I'm going to take a moment or two to talk about Easter. Now, some of you have probably wondered a little bit, what Easter has to do with bunnies and Easter baskets and, nice little colored eggs and all that. Well, I can't go into that very much because it's a very long story, but back in the 4th century, Roman Emperor Constantine mixed his pagan religious views with, early Christianity, created the Roman Catholicism that we have to this day, and a lot of our traditions that come from that are just basically him adding to Christianity. Now, it has nothing really to do with the real message of what Easter's about. That's really short answer. If you want to find out more about how, the eggs and the chickens and what they mean and all that all comes from a couple of books you can read. I'm going to recommend them. Pagan Traditions by David Ingram. I have this one. It's pretty good. It'll explain Easter, Halloween, a bunch of other things. And there's a new one that came out. I do not have this one yet, but I hear it's really good. I'm going to get one as soon as I get some money for my next paycheck that I can spare. It's called Pagan Christianity. It's by Frank Viola and George Barna. So those are two books. If you want to find out more about Easter bunnies and chickens and Easter eggs and Easter baskets and all the spring type things that got mixed in, that's where you go. But the real Easter message that comes from God, you can find that in the Bible, in the New Testament, in any of the 4 Gospels. And basically it's very simple. I'm going to explain Holy Week in 5 minutes, and this is all I really have to go on this. But basically, Palm Sunday, you've heard of that. Jesus comes riding into Jerusalem on a donkey, and all these people greet him, and they're waving these palm fronds and saying, Hosanna, Hosanna to God in the highest, and welcoming him in. A few days later, he's rounded up by the high priest of the temple, who was in charge at the time, a guy named Caiaphas, he was betrayed by one of his disciples named Judas for 30 pieces of silver. Judas led these soldiers right to where he was at, the Garden of Gethsemane. They rounded him up. They took him to a mock trial in the middle of the night. They spat at him. They beat him. They had no authority to kill him, so they took him before the Roman governor, guy named Pilate. And Pilate basically said, this guy didn't do anything. The Jews wanted him dead. He pleaded with them a couple of times. They still wanted them dead. He beat up Jesus pretty badly. Used a thing called a scourge, which is a whip with like hooks and bobs that rips your flesh and really nasty stuff. Crucified him on a cross with 2 other thieves. That's why you sometimes see the 3 crosses. There was 2 thieves on either side of him, and he died on the cross on Good Friday, which is 2 days ago, and 3 days later rose from the dead, and basically, because he was able to conquer death, and because he died on the cross, anyone who believes in him and follows Jesus gets to go to heaven and have eternal life. That's the 5-minute description of what Easter's about. Again, if you really want to delve into the real message of Easter, you're going to have to read it in any of the 4 Gospels in the New Testament of the Bible. I'm sure everybody either has access to a Bible or has access to a library where they can borrow one, or a friend who has one that, you know, would be willing to share it with you. I'll even go out a little bit on a limb here, because I can't go any further into this, but if you really want to know more about Jesus and God and everything, I can send you a copy of the Gospel according to John, which is one of the 4 Gospels, and this has the Easter story of it. It talks about Jesus and everything, his crucifixion. I have a bunch of extras of these. I'm not going to... I'll pick the cover, which I'll send you. But basically all I'll ask for is, you know, it's a hefty little pamphlet. Mail me $1 to cover my postage, because I don't want people just saying, he's going to send us. You know, email me, you know, for more information. But you can mail me $1 with the return address, and I will happily mail you one of those little booklets, and you can read it for yourself for $1 to cover my postage. I'm not doing it for money. I just basically want to break even. I figure $1's not going to kill you, and this way it covers my postage, so that some of the practical jokers out there who would request 15 copies just to, you know, be mean, and they didn't want anything to do with it, but they want me to pay $15 worth of postage or something. So anyhow, send your request to Mo. That's M-O, just Mo. P.O. Box 382, New Holland, Pennsylvania, 2 words, 17557. Enclose $1 or a check for $1, whatever you feel comfortable, and your return address. You can put a little note in there, tell me what you think and whatever, and fan mail, I don't care. And I will send you a copy. Again, the $1 is just to cover my cost for the mailing. It's no charge for the booklet. It's a free booklet. And, you know, hopefully that'll straighten you out. And you guys all have a nice Easter. I hope I was able to clear up a few misconceptions about, you know, this holiday, because like I said, it has been secularized over the years. It doesn't take away from the true meaning of it. So you guys have a nice one, and I'll talk to you in a few more days. Take care.